I prefer Rush Duels over Master Duels. And growing up, I hated every single class in school. And we used to always talk about each other's moms as a rule. And if you're a Pokemon and that you're going to last on the team of Ash, then you're a fool. There's defense mode, switching to attack mode. This is a re-recording of an old video I did with the same exact title as you're seeing now. I recently listened back to it and realized the audio was such shit that I decided to fucking delete it and just re-record it today. Because I think I was using the audio on my headphones, some cheap ass headphones I had, and boy did that video suck. I could barely hear myself in it. Inaudible as shit. So here we go. Master Duel started out as a Magic the Gathering ripoff. The original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime / manga that we now call Season 0, much darker than what the Yu-Gi-Oh! Would eventually become. Yami Yugi was actually, created games that killed people. But the bad guys usually evil themselves and they deserved it. But yeah, he would kill them. He would create a game, and if the opponent lost the game, the opponent would die. Kaiba in the original episode, the first episode of Season 0, he died. He never got brought back. All the opponents usually died in the whatever games he created. And that's why he was called the King of Games. You ever watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Be like, why the hell is he called the King of Games? The King of Trading Card Games, the Duel King, the Duelist King, Duel Monsters King. He's not the King of Games, but he's called the King of Games because the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Was pretty much, he was a King of Games. The trading card game was the first episode, and then a whole bunch of other games came out later that he created. That trading card game was just one aspect of it. But the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga, despite the fact it got an anime adaptation, the manga didn't last long. The original anime didn't last long. They didn't really get nowhere. It was very dark. And, the main characters like Yu-Gi-Oh! All that were actually showed interest in women. And Taya was over-sexualized, showing her in a bikini and shit. But yeah, and I think they actually had another female character besides Taya too in that one. But anyway. So I actually started off with from what I remember reading, the manga, apparently the Japanese kids that read it actually really liked the trading card aspect of it. And I think the original manga came with like a very loose base version of the trading card aspect that they created or whatever. And then apparently the kids that read it really loved it and wanted more. And then, so even though the anime / manga didn't really go that far, they ended up creating, a spin-off called Duelist Kingdom, I believe. Or Duel Monsters. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, pretty much. It was the manga. Then, of course, the anime was just called Yu-Gi-Oh! And, of course, it had to be less dark than the original in order for it to appeal to kids. If kids are really into this, they had to pull back a whole bunch of that dark shit. The original manga was actually pretty dark. People still died. Pegasus died. Kaiba's father straight up just freaking committed suicide and jumped off a building. But, the anime adaptation was way less dark than the manga, and then the American version for kids writing it was even less dark than that. Remember when Yugi was fighting that magician guy with a red dark magician, and they had like a blade that was gonna cut their legs off, and the blade was like coated in this blue, and they're like, oh, if you touch if that blade that touches you is gonna freaking take you to the shadow realm. And it's like, yeah, sure, it's not going to carve his legs at all because you made it blue and said it was in Shadow Realm. And that's where the term Shadow Realm even came from. The term Shadow Realm came from pretty much them censoring whatever they really want to call it, hell or whatever the fuck. And so basically what Yu-Gi-Oh! Had over Magic the Gathering was a popular anime to promote their cards. I mean, Magic the Gathering doesn't have that. You want to get into it, you have to get into it. I mean, the Pokemon anime helped Pokemon grow even bigger than it already was. Because you got to see, instead of seeing little stupid sprites, you got to see the Pokemon in a high quality animation that made you want to play the game some more. And Yugi had that with their trading card game as well. The only trading card game that had an anime adaptation where you could see high quality of the monsters and even the trap and spell cards come to life in the freaking anime adaptation. And that's what eventually made it to what it is now, the most popular trading card game on the planet, even more so than Magic the Gathering. Because Magic the Gathering doesn't have an anime adaptation to help it out. However, the anime adaptation is both a gift and a curse. I mean, I know Magic the Gathering probably comes up with new cards and all that stuff too, but at least they don't have to feel the need to always do it with every anime adaptation. Because, with GX, in order to differentiate itself from the original Yu-Gi-Oh!, they really highlighted Fusion and Ritual Monsters. I mean, Fusion and Ritual Monsters, especially Fusion, was always highlighted in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! But in GX, it was like amplified, where like almost everybody was like relying on it, especially Fusion. More so Fusion. Ritual Monsters wasn't really highlighted that much. It was mostly Fusion. Fusion was like the #1 thing in the GX. Like they really went heavy on that area. And then every few years when they come up with a new anime, they felt compelled to add a new mechanic. GX just relied on the fusion thing more. But then starting with 5Ds, they felt the need to we need to come up with something different. And then starting with 5Ds with the synchro summoning, now every freaking anime adaptation has to have something new, leading all the way into what we have now. To the point where it was inevitable that Master Duel was going to end up being just as convoluted, if not more convoluted, than Magic the Gathering. So convoluted that I can't even see. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to be real popular. I can't see getting old fans back into it. Was as complicated as it got. Because around 5Ds, in the middle of GX, one of the 5Ds is when Yu-Gi-Oh! Started losing its original, mega popularity, and then that's when Yu-Gi-Oh! Started to get real complicated. So, I can't even see old fans getting it. I know there's a lot of old fans that said they got into it again thanks to Master Duel and stuff. Talking about, the Master Duel game. But, I can't see anybody that, trying to get them back into it like it was when I was in school and shit. As convoluted as it get, I would have to literally sit them down and fucking teach them how to get into it. Like I'm a fucking Jedi master trying to teach someone how to become a Jedi or something. Or teaching the jitsu to somebody. You have to really sit them down. Not something I could just, give me 5 minutes, I'll explain to you. Something I have to sit them down and be like, look, here's this and here's that. And just for them to be like, what? So what's the difference between synchro summoning and XZ summoning? So, okay, you have to have the same levels, and then with synchro, you have to have this thing called the two. You would have to sit them down for at least a good 30 minutes to an hour. And even then, they would have to actually play the game a little bit for to even remotely get the hang of just one mechanic, much less all the other 5,000 other mechanics they have. Okay, that's an exaggeration. They have 5 mechanics in total. Started with synchro is 1, 2, about 4 more mechanics after that. But anyway, regardless, even when an online duel, I don't know how people get in the Master Duel and don't get turned off by it. I mean, you have to be, at least a high level of patience and smart, and be kind of smart to even try to remotely get into it. Because I online duel all the time, as you can see in my Master Duel gameplays, and for the love of God, these turns take 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes at a time. I mean, if I wasn't recording the thing, some of those duels I'd probably just freaking just surrender and just quit the whole damn thing because of how annoying it is. I mean, I know how annoying it is to be winning and then your opponent just cuts off his connection and surrenders. I mean, that's gay. So I try not to do it. But man, some of these turns is yo, man, you already have the duel in the bag. Just attack me and end it. No, they gotta fucking sit there and activate this and activate that, and then take 30 seconds to a minute thinking about activating this effect and activate. Motherfucker, you have the duel won. Just end it. No, but I want to take this card and activate his effect while he's in the graveyard. That's going to make me take a card from my deck and add it to my hand. And then I want to go ahead and link summon this guy over here with this one over here. And then I want to use his effect when he's used to use a material for a link summoning. He can make you take another card from the graveyard, summon it onto the field. And then his cousin, sitting there in the corner, he wants to join too. So we go bring him over here. And then his mom is feeling lonely. It's just ridiculous. I mean, that shit puts me off. Not enough for me not to want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore, because I love Yu-Gi-Oh! But shit, if you're an old fan getting into it and you're freaking master dueling, you have one of these fucking nerds that taking 5, 7, 8, 10 minutes on a fucking turn, just doing dumb move after dumb unnecessary move when he could just beat you in any second. That could put anybody off. It puts me off all the time. That's why I prefer Legacy to Duels, because I prefer dueling an NPC. Because at least they do the moves quickly, and when they do think, it doesn't take 5 fucking centuries. Might take a few seconds, but that's it. I guess the computers are smarter than humans, because some of these motherfuckers get on my last freaking nerve. But anyway, enough ranting about that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Didn't start to become convoluted and complicated until Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, the worst Yu-Gi-Oh! anime in existence, and its bullshit-ass XZ summoning mechanic. Because at least with synchro summoning, it was actually a cool thing. All of a sudden, they're actually adding a new mechanic for once. This is actually pretty cool. And the fact that you need tuner monsters in order to summon the synchro monsters was a pretty cool thing too. So your deck had to formulate around tuner monsters and regular monsters in order, not just, not normal monsters, but any kind of regular monster. So in order for you to summon the synchro monster. But XZ summoning just said, fuck all that. If you can have any monster you want, as long as they're the same level, XZ summon. And instantly breaking a freaking game. So now anybody can have any deck they want, and as long as they have same level monsters, bam, you get XZ summoning. So now, unless you have XZ monsters in your deck, you're gonna get fucked. Because fusion and ritual summoning and synchro summoning can't compete with that. Because you're gonna need synchro monsters in your you're gonna need tuner monsters in your deck. fusion summoning, you need polymerization, a whole bunch of monsters that fuse together with each other. And ritual summoning, you know, you need the ritual card and, you know, the monster, all that shit. But freaking XZ summoning, nah, you can have any monster as long as they're the same level. You don't need certain cards or certain nothing, just any fucking monster. And then it got worse with Arc 5, freaking Arc 5 stupid pendulum summoning. Or you get 2 pendulum monsters in this one, and you can pretty much summon any monster between their levels as much as you want. Like that further broke the game. By the time Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains and the whole Link summoning came about, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so broken by that point, you just stopped giving a shit. And Link summoning is cool and all, and I like it, but it's like the game was so broken by that point, it's like, who cares? And so finally, we get to the point. I think that Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and the whole Academy School thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! And dueling actually makes sense now. I remember when I first heard the premise of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and started watching it, even though I love Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, I thought it was hilarious. I laughed my ass off. I said, really? You need a whole fucking school for freaking dueling? It's that complicated? I'm talking about back then, when all we had was fusion, ritual monsters, and normal monsters and stuff. It's like, I remember laughing my ass off. Like, it was the goofiest shit ever. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not that fucking complicated that you need to go to a whole fucking school to learn how to fucking summon and fusion summon. Like, it's not that complicated. All you need is a fucking hour of your time and you can fucking learn Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not hard. But shit, Yu-Gi-Oh's gotten so freaking convoluted and complicated to the point where I'm like, you know what? The whole GX Academy thing actually kind of makes sense now. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm like, now about to find out they had a freaking whole academy for dueling. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't even scoff at it. I wouldn't even laugh at it. I said, yeah, as complicated as Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, and learning all the mechanics and learning how to win, shit, I'll probably go and join. I'll probably learn how to win some duels finally. Because holy shizza. Yu-Gi-Oh's because that whole Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Academy makes more sense now in 2024 than it ever did back then when GX came out. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one convoluted, complicated ass game. Shit, you can make a whole academy just based on trading card games like Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff. And I wouldn't even laugh about it. I'd be like, nah, yeah, it makes sense. But for the love of God, do not do the rush duels what you did with dual links and speed duels. Don't add all those mechanics. I already see that they're adding fusion because I'm like deep into the 7th anime now. I see that they're adding fusion now to rush duels and I'm getting worried. It has me worried. Keep rush dueling simple. Don't make it become what speed duels became with Master Duel. Please don't freaking make it become a counterpart to an already complicated system. If you want to go up to synchro summoning, because rituals and fusions are not being added to rush duels, they already have max summoning, which is their own mechanic to themselves that Master Duels don't have. If you want to add synchro summoning to rush duels, fine, but for the love of God, leave it there. Please don't add XZ summoning and arc and freaking pendulum summoning and add freaking link summoning. If you're gonna add a new mechanic, add something completely different. You want to add infusion and ritual summoning, cool. But if you're gonna add a new mechanic, add a brand new mechanic of max summoning. Please, for the love of God, don't add freaking XZ and all that other bullshit. Don't do what you did with speed though. Please don't add any of that shit. Leave it at ritual and fusion summoning, and if you have to add one of them, add synchro summoning. But for the love of God, leave it at that. Do not go past Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Do not go to Zex or any of this stuff. Keep rush duels simple. If you really want to start pushing rush duels here in America and start actually adapting the animes in English and actually be on top of it and get Yu-Gi-Oh! Popping again, I believe you could do that with rush duels. Rush duels are so simple. I could grab an old Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan and teach him rush duels in a few minutes and they could get into it. But I can't do it if you're going to make it just as complicated as Master Duels in a few years. For the love of God, please, for the love of everything is bright and beautiful in Jesus' name in this planet, keep rush duels simple. Don't add too much shit. The attack most is back to the fence one and I'm out. Peace.